I don't want to lose the excitement and the momentum. So we got to just hit record because we're already laughing. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Somerville. I am your host, Michael Somerville, and what an exciting time here in the studio today. I'm here with Sarah Fischer. Sarah Fischer, welcome. Everyone clap for Sarah.
Happy to be here.
Yes, with you and I clapping for ourselves. We have known each other for many years now, and also a fellow entertainer. And I went to your social media. You are listed as a dancer, model, and bacon lover.
Yes,
which I do love.
Most importantly,
and
third and most importantly.
Exactly. The bacon is. You are also from Canada, which brings me to my very first question. Then. Do you really not call it Canadian bacon up there?
Yeah, we don't. We call it pea meal bacon.
Or
back bacon, which is weird.
Poor back bacon?
No, just back bacon.
Back bacon.
Because it's like from the back of the pit. I don't even know now.
And how about the pea meal part? That sounds
It's got like pea meal around the outside of it.
Okay.
When you buy it in Canada. I don't know how it is. I don't actually eat it.
Okay.
I like normal bacon.
When you say bacon, you're thinking U.S. bacon. And when you say you're a bacon lover.
Yes.
Okay.
Who is it?
Bacon. Most people.
Vegetarians.
Interestingly, my brother prefers breakfast sausage over bacon.
Ooh, I mean, I can appreciate a good breakfast sausage.
Right?
There's nothing wrong with that.
But
if I had to choose.
Bacon.
Oh.
Pea meal or not. What's what I want to ask you because it makes me laugh. Tell us where you're from in Canada.
Yeah, so I'm from Niagara Falls originally. And then I went to school.
Barely Canada, right?
It's a border town. It is totally a border town.
Okay.
It's still Canada.
Isn't that where all like the 18-year-old college kids like drive to drink from the U.S.?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, cross the border and okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
And really trashy. Niagara Falls is not cute.
Okay.
Where did I grow up? I grew up 30 minutes like in a small town by Niagara Falls.
Okay. I thought it was like all beautiful and
it is beautiful.
Made the mist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta do Made in the Mist.
Okay. What kind of place are you from? Are you from the other side of the tracks?
No, I'm from
nice.
like a really nice, like a really cute, very small town.
Okay.
People are very friendly. Everyone knows your business. Sort of classic.
Well, and you were just, if I follow you on Instagram, and you were, I think, just home for the holidays.
Yes.
And it did look, wherever you were posting from, looked adorable. Like it was snowing and quaint. And yeah.
It was so good to be home for the holidays. And like, it's just so pretty. Yeah, super quaint.
That's what it looks like.
I love Christmas. I'm a little Christmas crazy. So I was so excited to be back in Canada for Christmas with the snow and the stuff.
What more do you want? I'm the same way. I love Christmas too, and that is like the one thing. Yeah, in New York we didn't really have we didn't have the snow, but it's obviously festive here.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Tell me, start me from the beginning. I mean, you do so many things. And by the way, it makes me laugh that you are from such a friendly place because that's how I always think of you. I was just so excited to even do this today because I'm like, oh, you're always just smiling and fun.
Thanks.
But I suspect there's a dark side. No, I'm kidding.
Everybody's got a dark side.
The shadiness that lies underneath. But no, tell me about how you started, what your childhood was like. When did you start dancing? How to bring us up to the point.
Yeah, I mean, I've been dancing forever. I started when I was 3 and just like fell in love with it.
And were you literally like just running around the house dancing? Was that?
I saw my sister was doing it like through a community sort of situation, like a community center.
All right.
And I saw the costumes. This is like 90% of dancers like pathway into dance. They see the performance, they see the like costumes and the glitz and the glamour, and they're like sold.
I love it.
That's it. That's all it took. And so I saw my sister doing it, and I was like, I want this.
I want to do this.
And we have a family friend who had their own studio.
Okay.
And she said, well, why don't you like bring her to me? So I ended up not doing the community center.
Okay.
Dancing, I went to a studio.
You went fancy pants.
Yes, fancy pants for sure.
Okay.
And then I basically grew up at the studio and I just loved it.
And you were good, I assume, naturally.
Yeah, I was lucky to have some natural talent. I think also when you love it, you do it all the time.
Right.
You're around the house. I used to break things.
Right.
Fully. Kitchens are great for turning.
Yeah, okay.
Every dancer knows.
Okay. All right. Turning
just
meaning.
Pirouettes and chaînés and dance turns.
I've never done a pirouette in a kitchen. I
just
gotta try that.
Grocery stores are really good for tapping.
Okay.
tapping down the freezer aisle.
Is that because of the sound? Or
I don't know. It's at the tile, I think. I always have the urge to tap dance in a grocery store, even here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Even these narrow
much
New York
in-
City
Not so much
bodega?
not so much in Trader Joe's, because I feel like there's not aisle. Like, I want
Yeah.
the good freezer aisle with a nice tile.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll take someone out.
If it's like a smaller bodega, yeah, I would do it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep your arms down.
So I was going to say, all of a sudden you bought a bunch of things. What that would be kind of funny if you were really, really bad. Does that happen to people? Like they just, I mean, I see it in comedy sometimes where someone's like, I love it, it's my favorite thing. Like you can't wait to see the person perform. It's like, man, this guy knows all the history. He's read book, like, and then you're just like, ooh, this is not a good show.
I mean, there's definitely people who love it, who don't take it professionally, or they do it
just enjoy
recreationally, and it's not like, you could say like maybe technique wise they're not great, but I think like when you have the love for something, then and you put the work towards it. Yes, I was gifted with some natural things that helped me along the way.
Okay,
but it's a lot of hard work.
I can't.
You know?
I do not. I dated a dancer once, and I just remember her feet were just beat to.
Nasty.
I mean, just beat up to. I mean, I'm a guy. I don't think very much about feet in general, but my goodness, I mean, I always felt like, God, how do you walk? How do you? I mean, it's just the years of pounding, right?
Well, I think it's just like you're putting your body through so much. You're basically an athlete. You're training on and off your time.
Sure.
You're doing massive amounts of shows, like 8 to 12 shows a week, and it's a lot on your body. And even like I'm at the age, LOL, I'm 26.
Okay.
I'm at the age
old.
where like totally old in the dance world. No, that's not true. I think I really used to think of that, but now, like with all this cross training and people are really taking care of their bodies, careers are a lot longer.
Okay.
God, our friend Layla is banging. I always think about her because she's just a banging dancer. Yeah. And, she's got some years on me. So
does she? Okay.
Yeah. You would never think.
No.
She's like so talented, so strong.
Yes, she is.
I don't know if I should have brought that up.
No, you absolutely. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she doesn't listen. So we're good. But no, that's a good point. And you're right. You are. I mean, you're certainly an athlete. I mean, that's,
and it's a lot, but we don't have the support like other athletes do. So you are sort of doing everything on your own, especially when you're away on contract, you don't have support. But yeah, so I'm at the age where like me and my friends' bodies are like starting to fall apart.
You're starting to feel it.
And we're starting to recognize like work needs to be put in outside of like our traditional training. And it's tough though.
A little extra
extra help.
It's
to get you through.
It's funny because when we first met working on a cruise ship, and I remember watching you guys, like your daily routine, you'd have rehearsals and you'd be at the gym and you had this and that. And I remember as a comedian thinking like, I bet there's a version of that for us. Like maybe I'm supposed to be doing, like I would go to my show and do my 45 minutes and then be done and watch a movie. I was like, I think there's probably, and I remember it actually was motivational for me to be like, I'm being a little facetious. I mean, obviously I write, I prepare, but a little bit. I was like, man, they work all day at their craft, not just the hour show.
I think when it comes to being a professional, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It really is. I wake up and I think about my body the whole day long.
Right.
How I can improve it, how it's feeling today.
Right. I have that in common with you.
Yeah, there you go.
How do I feel? And what can I do to feel better?
Lots of people ask me, I'm feeling like that. But then as with the dancer, it's like, if I have a performance tonight, like how early do I need to start warming my body up?
Right.
What's aggravating today? What do I need to do to make that better?
Sure.
I mean, it's just like trying to figure it out. But it is, I would say it's a lifestyle. And I think that's why it's easy for dancers to sort of all connect.
Right.
Now, we're not obviously all the same, but we understand what it takes to
it is a
dedicate your life to something.
Sure, a community that you're part of, and if you don't know each other personally, you're like, oh, you're one of. Yeah, I would say this is similar for us. So how about get us then into your first big show, your first big in school or what? I mean, what you started going like, oh, I'm really gonna do this. Like was it in Canada still?
Yeah, so I actually had a very funny sort of route into my professional career. When I was graduating high school, which is often when people either go to school for dance or they go directly into sort of their career right away.
Right.
And again, not for everybody, but that's like a very typical path. I decided I wasn't going to be a dancer. I was going to do something more traditional.
Oh, really?
So I went to university in Canada.
Sure.
For like media and communications.
Okay.
And like did my full 4 years and loved it.
Right.
Continue to dance the whole time, like on teams.
Okay.
And then when I graduated, I had like an epiphany or sort of like a moment where I thought, I really need to find out if I can do this.
Oh,
because
wow.
there's such a time, like we talked about, like your body only has a certain amount of time, and you need to continue to work towards that. And
Right.
so I really thought, I need to know.
Right.
And if I can't do it, then great. I can lick my wounds, go home, and have a great life
Right.
in a
but
more
you did it.
traditional 9-to-5
Sure.
career path in Toronto. Like, I loved Toronto. It was great.
Right.
And I just thought, I have to try.
Now's the
So I did. I moved, and I started training, and then I booked my first gig about
Okay.
3 months later.
See.
And it was like, damn.
I did
You know?
it.
Yeah.
But no, that is a great feeling, and you're right. I mean, I remember when I had a job briefly when I first came to New York. I had messed around in comedy a little, but and I finally decided to leave that job. I was working in advertising, so I'm going to leave it and try. Like try this thing. Like you say, you got
At least
to
have
know.
to know.
And I was so afraid of telling everyone in the office what I was going to do because I was like, oh, God, I'm going to be a comedian. And I'll never forget it. Every single person was just so supportive, and so many had their own story of like, I always wish I had, or, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I thought they were going to make fun of me,
No, it's so surprising, actually, I think, when it comes to sort of changing your path or
Right.
making certain choices that are more risky, but you think will be more fulfilling.
Yeah.
People are really supportive. And I think even being in this path, people don't always understand it, but they really recognize like the ideal of going after a dream or going
Exactly.
after something that like makes you happy, makes
It's true.
makes
It's
your
true.
life better.
And it feels like in this day and age, it's somehow more accepted these days. I
Yeah.
think like my parents were certainly from a time where you got the job, the 9-to-5, you bought the house, so that's
Yeah.
it. That was all you were supposed to be doing. That's stability. And I feel like now, especially in the city, I remember moving to New York thinking you could only be one of 3 jobs.
Yeah,
a doctor,
wow.
a lawyer, or a businessman.
Yeah.
And you get to New York, you go, oh my goodness, there's so many different things you can do with your life.
Even within the industry, there's so many different paths.
It's true.
There's so many versions of the way that you can do it. And
Okay.
I mean, I think I came from a family that was more traditional, that did the whole like job, house, children situation. And my sister too, as well, did the more traditional sort of path. But I think,
are your parents supportive?
Yeah, they were so supportive.
Yeah.
I'm really, really lucky.
Yeah.
When I said, hey, look, I'm going to do this.
Right.
It wasn't a question.
Right. Yeah.
I said, I'm doing this. And they were like, okay.
All right.
Great.
Yeah.
I had one sort of like blip. I was on my first ship and my mom came to visit me.
Okay.
And she said, when she talks about her children, she would talk about my sister as an occupational therapist. So she would say, my daughter is an occupational therapist, and my other daughter graduated from Western University with this degree, and now she's dancing. So I had to like fully sit her down and say, why do you say my degree first,
right,
and my like academic credentials, and then my job?
Yeah.
Whereas when you just talk about my sister, you say,
yeah, exactly.
And she was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, it didn't even occur to her that she recognized her language was colored a certain way.
Sure.
And then so after that, she says, my daughter's a dancer.
See,
so I said, okay, great. And then you could add the other thing in after.
You could add it, yeah.
Order matters to me.
In 5th grade, you got an A on a science exam.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It's like, why did you put that one thing?
Sure.
And I know she didn't mean to do it.
No.
She is the most supportive
Right.
of what I'm doing. She thinks it's amazing. I think she would be sleeping on my couch if she could.
Right.
She thinks it is. She loves New York. She thinks it's so cool that I'm here. But yeah, she like.
That is.
I think subconsciously
cool,
you start to.
You
word things a certain way, and then it's like, is that actually what you think, or is this?
No, I know exactly what you mean, and I think it's like you say, that's not to be unsupportive or anything. It's just, and it's also like we said, from a time where it's like our parents are
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it's not what you did. It's like my son's a doctor, my child is going to be it's kind of that wiring. But it's good for you for calling out, and good for her for okay.
And she fixed it. Like after that, she never did that. At least to my knowledge, never did that again.
Yeah,
so.
She just stopped talking about you altogether.
Yeah.
I only have one daughter.
Yeah.
Never mind. So you come to New York, and not only a very sweet, personable person, personally as you are, but Canadians in generally, stereotypically, are a kinder folk, some might say, versus maybe the Americans, and certainly in New York, where it's, the reputation. What have you found? Have you found that? Was it a jarring adjustment? Was it less true?
I think I was surprised how nice New Yorkers were.
Okay.
I think I also got really lucky, if I'm being honest. I came in like not really knowing anybody,
Right.
and I went into auditions, and I had like my headshot in my hand, and somebody had seen my headshot because I was posting to try and find sublets to live.
Okay.
And she came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, I know you. You were on Gypsy Housing. I'm glad you found a place."
Oh my
And then
goodness.
I had one friend, and then because I had that girl, I had,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
and then the girl next to her said, "Oh, did you just move here?" Like,
And
it
boom.
was like no effort.
That's
and then
amazing.
I had this huge network of friends who are like beautiful, talented, smart,
Right.
good people with good hearts, and I just like really lucked out.
That really is.
I mean,
yeah.
who gets to say that?
Yeah.
So when
Not
it comes
me.
to like, how is your New York experience? Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
like that's really unheard of.
Yeah.
And they're still my friends to this day. You know,
That's, well, that and that.
oh, how
that-
do you?
That is fortunate, but you like to also think good people attract other good people,
Maybe,
which is
yeah.
nice.
That's
But
what I
actually, when
said.
you think about it, it always surprised me because we first met in Hawaii.
Yes.
And it was stunning to me to find, on a cruise ship, you guys were the performers. And it was amazing to me how many of you lived in New York, And I was like,
Yes.
oh, this is interesting. These people don't even exist, really. And
Everybody.
it turned out all of you are like Facebook friends and everyone, yeah.
And even now, everybody is. I feel maybe because I'm at that. I did 4 contracts with the cruise ship, so
Yeah.
I feel like maybe everyone's sort of like leaving that bubble now, and everyone's coming to New York. So like every 3 months, I get new friends.
It's
From ships that come to New York.
Whatever ship.
It's like, oh, that person's coming too. Great.
that's
Okay, oh, that
fabulous.
person's coming too. A contract lets out, and I have like 4 more new friends
And
that
I
come
got
in.
more
so
friends coming.
it's very
almost like you're
weird.
on a sitcom.
It
New
is.
characters
New
come
characters
in.
come in. They decided they're moving to New York, and
I
it's the
love-
same sort of feeling everybody had.
That is. Well, I guess this is, if you're going to be a dancer, right? This
Yeah,
is
this
where
is
the
the place
business
to
would be.
be.
Broadway
Yeah,
is
for
here. And now I noticed you didn't mention singer in your social media,
So
but
true.
I happen to know that you have sung
Yes,
last
yeah.
summer. In fact,
Professional.
you were
Yeah.
you were in a show where you were singing. Were you nervous about it? Are you not a singer?
I've always been singing, but I didn't ever sing professionally.
Okay.
So, you work on the thing that you think is most important, and I
Right.
definitely, like, in my mind, dance was my passion, and I wanted to be a dancer.
Right.
I never sort of thought, oh, like, people who are on Broadway need to sing.
Right.
And if you want to do musical theater, then you want to sing. I just wanted to work professionally as a
Okay.
dancer. I didn't really have, I had those thoughts, but I didn't have, like, necessarily that specific goal.
Right.
But sort of with each job I got, I became more hungry for something else.
Okay.
And then you sort of like recognize there's way more opportunities for musical theater. I love musical theater. I grew up seeing shows.
Sure.
But yes, I've been working on my voice. And then so we sang a little bit on the Pride.
Yeah.
And then my last contract on ships was a sort of singer-dancer situation.
Okay.
And then I booked a musical theater gig where I was also singing.
They actually sing. Were you like solo, like on your own? Or-
No.
Oh, okay. Because to me, that's the terrifying part. I know some of the dancers from the ship would
Yes.
say that they don't even sing; they're just
Well,
mouthing the words
but-
because they know there's enough people singing.
But at the same time, every time you go into an audition,
Yeah.
you're singing solo.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
singing your
yeah.
cut. You go in, you say, "Hi, my name is Sarah."
Yeah.
You put your sheet music down and you sing your song alone.
And you sing.
And you do that as many times as it takes you to get a job.
That's oh, man, that's terrifying. Yeah.
So for somebody who, yes, of course, it's scary to sing
Right.
alone, but I think doing that more and more kicks it out of you.
Sure.
This is now what I do,
It's
so
now
you
what
just do it.
You get it out of the way.
It will always be different for me than dancing is. Dancing is, if I'm nervous with dancing, my body knows what to do.
Right.
With vocally,
Singing is a different.
singing is a little bit of a different ballgame just because it's much more newer.
Sure.
It's a new experience for me.
Yeah.
And
Would
I'm
you like to
still-
sing for us here on the podcast?
Absolutely not.
That was beautiful. No, I know because as a performer,
Shout out to my vocal coach.
work cut out for them.
Oh, man.
No, I know. I laugh because like going in when I first started in the city too, was all about commercial auditions
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And they always told us, no matter what they ask, if you can you do it, you say yes,
Yeah.
and then you figure it out. And particularly in an audition,
like
it,
yes but no.
well, that was exactly. I told people I could ride horses. They said it was a commercial here in New York City. They weren't about to pull a horse into the room and have you ride it, so they said, "Do you horseback ride?" Yep, of course. I was just trained to like always say yes. Well, I booked the commercial, and cut to me in the Caribbean. It's horse riding day, and yeah, I was. I was panicked. It was one of these things. I was like,
Had you ever been on a horse before?
I had I think in like camp as a kid, when they have the pony on the rope or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I could not horseback ride.
I actually did horseback riding growing up.
Did you? Oh, okay.
But this is the hard part for me. I think sometimes you have those skills for like a second.
Yeah.
So you're like, yes, but I did it 12 years ago.
Right.
For 2 months.
Right.
So do you be candid and you say like flat out that's exactly what's going on, or do you say
no.
I have some knowledge
yes.
or I have some experience, or you say yes, absolutely, I'm super comfortable. Like where is the line?
Well, a lot of it for that particular one, it was a box you check when you're going into the room.
Oh.
And so can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do it? Yep, I can horseback ride.
Check it.
But I do remember them actually verbally asking. It says here you horseback ride, and I remember a little panic in me going, it sounds like they mean it. Like they really want to know if I can horseback ride. Now, thankfully, the happy ending to that story is the horses were unnerved, I guess is the word. They weren't right that day, and they were like a little bit agitated. And the guy who was like wrangling them, he was like, "This doesn't feel right," and they decided to cancel the horse shoot because they were out of safety concerns. yeah. And I was like, "That's probably best." It looked like that horse was a little agitated.
Could you imagine? They like get right on there, buddy.
I mean, it comes to the point where you're like, do you have to just come clean and be like, look, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but I can't ride a horse because you're gonna get thrown off. They worry about that.
That's the hard part. I think with dance too, when they say, do you have these certain skills, and if you don't have it,
right.
I mean, if they're gonna ask me if I have like tumbling skills, no,
right.
I can't fib that.
Right.
I can do a cartwheel.
Right.
Like they're not gonna say, okay, can you do a round off back handspring, and I'm gonna be like, I'm not warm.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to warm up.
It's going to take me 2 years to get warm.
How fast can I learn that? And there are people who have those skills. And I think also I've learned that doesn't necessarily mean you're not getting the job. There might be another role that suits you better, and they'll pick somebody who's a tumbler for that role.
Right.
So I think when it comes to safety, like you really have to fess up.
No, you're right. And exactly.
If it's gonna harm you, like if you're gonna get thrown off and break some body
and like
parts.
you said, in this business, there are enough people who are good at whatever they're looking for. Like I remember when I first started, my parents used to watch like leading men in movies, and my mom would just be like, "You're better looking at him. Why are you doing that?" Just like, "No, Mom, there's people who are
Isn't that parents? My dad loves to play that game.
Is that right?
Yeah, you could do that.
You could do that.
You could do that.
Yeah.
And not like you're better than them, just you could do that.
You could do that. Exactly.
And sometimes I'm like, no, I couldn't.
No, I could. Right.
Thank
or
you.
He'll change me.
No.
Like if you grew a beard and you did this and that, I'm like, well, but that guy already has the beard, so I don't need that type existed. But parents aren't they the best?
No, it's so sweet, and I love it. It really is support.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, I could do that.
I could do that. Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I could do that.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah. No, it is amazing. Their parents are. I didn't have some crazy broken childhood. They talk about people going to entertainment somehow. Yeah, and I think, they talk about people who become comedians, especially, you came from some pain. Yeah, all that stuff. And I
Laugh
think...
away the pain.
Well, I mean, it's true. But for me, I think it was more the confidence my parents gave me by, not to be cheesy, but by loving me and giving me just, like, believing that I could do anything. I believed it. Sure. And I came to New York, I'm like, I'm going to tell jokes for a living, and here we are.
And you did it.
Yeah. I'm getting tired. Now, that brings us to one of my favorite all-time stories. We talk about, how it is to have a relationship, to have a normal life, quote unquote, doing what we do, given our traveling, given our schedules, never home for certain, periods of time. Where's your swing? Are 3 of the funniest words that I think you've ever said. We were talking about relationships and how it's hard especially for me as a comedian. People see my show, they think they know me, and I wrote the jokes, but it was a shined up version that took 10-15 years to put on stage, and so it's hard for me to date somebody who saw me at a show, because it's almost like it's better just to not, don't get to
Don't
know
tarnish the image.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, they'd be like, we think you're so amazing, you're good. And I'm like, good, well then let's never talk again. You just have a nice life and think of me fondly.
Let's not shatter the illusion
No,
of
I
my
can't.
perfection.
I can't back that up.
Yeah.
So we were talking, about your version of that too, and there was a number, a musical number or whatever, I guess, where you're.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. You're playing a Pussycat, right? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
We were. So in the show Vegas, there's
Yes.
a number where you come on and you're dressed like a pussycat.
Right.
And there are swings that come down from. Oh God, I hope my grandmother's not
My
listening.
favorite.
There are swings that come down from the ceiling, and you hop on them, and then you swing over top of the audience.
Yes. So you are
It's
in
a really sexy number.
It is.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there are great. Speaking of your grandma, I mean, there are grandmas at that show. I always
Oh,
remember thinking like,
absolutely.
this is pretty
Yeah.
darn edgy. You
Yeah,
guys
for a ship.
for a cruise ship with a bunch of retirees. Yeah. You guys are scantily clad in these swings. So anyway.
So that's where's your swing
Where's
came
your
from.
swing?
Yeah.
Well, you said, you would get off and stay, or you would meet someone, you wind up dating someone, and that was, they're looking at you on the date going,
Where's your swing?
Where's your swing? You're supposed to bring the swing on the date and be swing back and forth.
Why are you not wearing your costume?
Exactly.
You look so different on stage.
Yeah, where's your kitty cat tail,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. That's always, look
I mean,
different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same person, of course. It's a facet of myself, and I bring myself to every performance. But I've got like fake lashes on. I've got 10 tons of makeup on.
Right.
I've got fishnet. Like you can't see my rolled legs. I've got
Right.
fishnets on.
Right.
I'm in costumes that somebody else has picked out for me.
Right.
Doing moves that I didn't necessarily choose. Sometimes you identify and
Sure.
you feel like it's your character, but sometimes it's not really you.
Yeah.
And so it can be tough, I think, especially if the role is really sexy.
Yeah.
And then somebody kind of like meets you outside of that sort of window.
Right.
And
right.
they sometimes they don't even recognize you, or sometimes they're like, oh,
this is not all.
that's
Yeah.
not really what I thought.
Exactly, not what I would get. Well, how
Yeah.
does that go? Do you date within the industry? Do you prefer to not date within the industry?
I very rarely, if not, I don't think I've ever dated within the industry.
Okay.
I can say that. I've never dated within the industry.
Okay.
I think, and I get why people do it.
Yeah.
It is like instant understanding between people.
Sure.
If I said, oh, I'm going to go to an ECC today,
Right.
or we got typed out, like I
Right.
wouldn't have to explain those terms. Those are like audition terms.
Right. Right.
Whereas if I'm on a date with somebody who's not connected,
right.
sometimes the questions they ask are really dumb. So, and they're just trying. It's
Yeah.
not like anything, but
Right,
they
right.
don't
Trying to take an
necessarily
interest.
understand. When I
Yeah.
go to an audition, it's not like a job interview.
Right.
It's not like, oh, you're qualified, you get the job.
Right.
There's so many other factors.
Right. Right.
And they can have the best intentions, but sometimes it can be really tough. So I do understand why people date in the industry.
Right.
But I think also for me, I like a separation from work.
Totally.
I don't mind being the sort of like artsy one.
Right.
It's okay. Like I'm okay to be that sort of like uppity spirit.
Do you also use it as a slight license to be a little crazy?
Oh, totally.
Me too. I'm always like, I'm an artist.
Yeah. But not crazy. Like some girls are a little bit crazy. I consider myself like decently
Borderline. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, normal's not the right word. If you call yourself normal, you're definitely crazy.
Yeah, you wouldn't be sitting here if you were normal.
No,
That's
for
boring.
sure. Totally boring. But I think, there are no rules for dating. I think that you just have to kind of go with your gut. But I trend-wise, I haven't dated in the industry.
Okay.
I like, it's nice to not talk about work.
Right, and to get away from it. It is, like you say, you wake up and you think all day about your craft, your body, your show, your this, your that, and it's exhausting. And I've done both, dated within and with outside of. And it's exhausting. You just go, you want that break and the reminder that there is more to the world.
Yeah. I also think it's great, like, if you're dating someone and they come see you in a show.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow.
Yeah.
And if you're dating somebody who's in the industry and they come see a show, like, my nerves are way higher because I'm like, are they going to be like, hey, you didn't point your toe in that third number? Or I can see your energy really dipped halfway through the second act. I don't, and that would just be like not a good thing for a boyfriend to do, number one.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
But it would be like, I think it's kind of cool to be like this sort of miraculous creature.
Right.
I like know what to do with. I kind of like that angle.
Exactly. So the flip side is, where's your swing?
Yeah. So yeah, you get some stupid questions questions.
I cannot thank you enough for taking the time. You were out and about. You were out in a boot, might I say?
Out and about.
Out in a boot doing your thing. You came from Pilates. You're heading to training. I know you're busy. It's so good to see you again.
You make me sound so fit. That was very nice.
Yeah, well, I'm impressed by it. My good. I had to set my alarm to get up for this.
He's not lying, but it made me look really, really good. So thank you.
Thank you for stopping by. We look forward to catching up very soon here on Greetings from Somerville, and we'll talk to you all later.